clear to the members the position of St. Martin as we were heading into a new status as of 1010. It was pointed out what our limitations were. Very, very clearly, members that are sitting here today understood, they participated, and at the time the island legislature was basically helpless as to what could take place. You mentioned earlier today also, Pastor, that taking into account the democratic deficit, I think personally that that is the one avenue that we will definitely use to point out the inconsistencies that we have as a small society, St. Martin, where it pertains to some of the laws and the human rights elements of same-sex marriage or any type of discriminatory situation that presents itself today, that we were basically forced to accept, not only by the Netherlands, but by regulations that we have internationally, whether it be the European courts, whether it would be Amnesty International. All of those international bodies basically prescribe how we should deal with our fellow man. As a God-fearing person myself, I understand the concerns of this body. But when you come to a body of this nature, I know that you are expecting results. You expect that what you have to say here this morning will not fall on deaf ears. And once again, you would see statements made here this morning go without having any results or any absolute immediate type of reactions by the parliamentarians. I just would like to know, how do we proceed in a situation where we embrace the culture and the language and the lifestyles of our mother country, the Netherlands, and at the same time we negate the things that they embrace? We have to choose. We have to decide whether we like it the way it is, or we are going to basically move away from that in a more, how should I say, a more decisive manner that would be able to give us the kind of results that we would like in our community. And I am not in any way saying differently than what you are truly trying to accomplish. But just to repeat, just so we don't misunderstand, I am saying that many of us in the community, we embrace the cultural habits and the languages of our mother country, and at the same time, we only want to take a portion of what they basically have now made us an integral, almost an integral part of them, which is the Netherlands. The church, I believe, prior to the inception of us becoming 1010, made it clear. At that time, we had a different government. I did not see the vehemence. I did not see the type of determining situation that could have possibly influenced what came out of the 1010 and what today now form parts of our Constitution. Within our Constitution, it is laid down what we believe in, and there are directives. I don't believe that we go about changing a Constitution every week or every year or every month. So it is, I don't want to say that it is an opportunity missed, because obviously it is something now that we have to sit together and try to undo. And doing this, it means that all hands are going to have to be on board, because I think everyone sitting here will have, we know we feel the same, we are all God-fearing people, but I know that we will be blasted by those people that we are an integral part of. You know, if we look at the neighboring islands, we see what's happening in just south of us, Saba, for instance. We know now that Curacao is now reacting in a positive way for additional huge investments to this type of community. And we cannot be hypocritical in any way, because we know what we need, and every single item that you touched on here today has validity. every single item, from the gambling to the prostitution to the homelessness to the burdens that are right now afflicting just the normal man and woman on this island. This commission that we are on, as it clearly states, it's a commission on tourism, it's economic affairs, and I am very happy that an extended portion of the Parliament actually sat in on this meeting this morning. And my reaction, my question to you would be, other than responding, change the law, come up with legislation, which will be shot down, how do we deal with, and I think at the last time we spoke, Pastor, that some commission is going to be required greater than us to go to the Netherlands. But when we get to the Netherlands, we have to deal with an institution we call the European Community. We look at all aspects of the world where there is a level of tolerance for the pains that we now find ourselves in. And that is my question to you good gentlemen and lady. How can you assist us even more in bringing this to a position where the level of tolerance will not exist, without us violating all of the international organizations that we have signed on to? That's my question to all of us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Member of Parliament Leroy De Weaver. Pastor Smith, or anyone from his delegation?
Yes, my question, have we already signed on to all of these? I thought that country St. Martin still had an option. I know that the best islands do not, seeing that they're an integral part of the system of Holland. But I thought that St. Martin still, as country, had an option to determine certain things. And we were actually involved in the discussions with regards to the Constitution, and we did make our contribution. One of the things that we vehemently protested, for example, was that the mention of God was nowhere at all in the Constitution, and we saw that you were able to include that. I think that one of the things that's happening, an awareness to our people, that's already a big step. Say, well, you know, this is lifestyle, or these are activities that do not mesh with our culture, with our Christian principles, and so we should not uphold them. Now, I believe that from that point of view, we can let our voices be heard, and perhaps we more than you. And so I think that would be our role, to just sound the alarm and say, folks, be warned, be careful. Apostle Allen.
Yeah. The chair will decide. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Apostle Allen.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Good morning to everyone again. Member of Parliament, Mr. De Weaver, you asked a question. I'm trying to remember your exact words, but where do we go from here? How do we work from here? I think that sitting here, we have started being able to have a cross-table discussion, being able to, as a church, we have plans to go back and to begin various evaluations, do various investigations, and we are hoping that we can come back, as our chair said in his presentation, that we can come back to you, not just to point out the problems. Too often that is being done, but we can come back with some solutions, some possible solutions. We can come back with a plan of teamwork. I agree with what you're saying, that how can we do this without violating the rights of people? But also, we would need to find ways how we work together and let people know, let those who live in St. Martin know, let those who would visit our shores know that while we understand that they have rights, we also have rights. And what we are asking for is for them to respect our policies, respect our guidelines of what we do, how we would wish to live. We are not saying that those who would have a different view and a different way of living are not welcome here. But if I was to use the term, when you go to Rome, you do as the Romans do. I think when you come to St. Martin, there must be some guidelines that people should follow. It is amazing that when in the West we tend to have this grave issue, but when you visit places like Israel and all these other countries, no matter what your belief is, no matter how strong your belief is, you follow their guidelines. And no, we do not want to come and bearing down on people. So I think, Mr. DeWeaver, Member of Parliament, that we are starting the process, having a cross-table discussion, being open for further discussion. And I believe that it's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen.
Thank you, Minister Allen. Minister Stefan Brooks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I say good morning to each and every one. And again, thank you for having us here. I was just coming back to this island a few months ago when all three organizations representing the Christian community met with the central government on the issue, not the central government, sorry, the central committee, yes. At the time, the Christian community was being called upon, if my memory serves me well, to have an input in the drafting of the new constitution. And I can recall clearly 3 presentations were made that day. Dealing, among other things, with the issue of homosexuality and same-sex marriage and stuff like that. 3 beautiful presentations, very in-depth studies on the issue. There was one presentation that was made by the Reverend Brissett, the then chairman of the Christian Council, from a theological perspective. There was one that was made by Pastor Philbert from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He looked, I believe, if my memory serves me well, at the social aspect of this issue. And there was a presentation that was made by Pastor Smith, the chairman of the SMUMF, from a legal perspective. And if my memory serves me well, I believe that he received the guidance or the assistance of one attorney at law in preparing his presentation. That was Pastor Smith's presentation on the legal issue, on the legal aspect. I recall very well him saying that the law offered to Country St. Martin that was in the making possibilities to I don't want to say to step outside of the Dutch law, but to have certain amendments on certain issues. I can recall, if my memory serves me well. Yeah, I think so. And I can recall back then that all those who were present at that meeting, members of all political parties back then, were